The emergency meeting hall on the research station orbiting Kepler 442b was packed with angry aliens. Jake stood in the center of the room, feeling like he was on trial. In a way, he was. 3 days had passed since the vault had activated and the galaxy was not taking it well. High Curator Zenth stood at the main podium, addressing the assembly. We have analyzed the situation thoroughly. The conclusion is obvious. The humans have tampered with the artifact. They have somehow programmed it to recognize their genetic patterns. This is an elaborate deception designed to claim ownership of ancient technology. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Jake saw very few friendly faces. Most of the alien species represented here were looking at him with suspicion or outright hostility. "We have done no such thing," Jake said firmly. "We were just as surprised as you were. We had no idea the vault would respond to us." A Quillix researcher stood up, its multiple legs clicking on the floor. "How convenient that it responded only to humans. How convenient that you arrived just as we were about to leave. How convenient that your scanners found what ours could not." "Our technology is different," Lisa spoke up from beside Jake. "We were looking for different types of signals, that's all." "Or you planted those signals," a Durney representative gurgled from its water tank. "You humans are clever. Everyone knows this. You won several conflicts through deception before joining the coalition. Why should we trust you now?" Ben leaned close to Jake and whispered, "This is going badly." "I noticed," Jake muttered back. Zenth continued, "We have a proposal. All human personnel must leave the planet immediately. We will secure the artifact and study it properly, using coalition resources and unbiased researchers. When we determine how the humans have tampered with it, we will decide on appropriate consequences." "You can't do that," Jake protested. "The vault only responds to us. Without humans present, you won't be able to access it at all. Then we will find a way to bypass its security, or we will wait until it malfunctions and reveals the truth behind your deception." Zenth's crystalline body flashed red, a color Jake had learned meant absolute certainty. "The vote will now take place. All in favor of removing humans from the excavation site." Hands, claws, tentacles, and various other appendages rose throughout the hall. Jake counted quickly. At least 70% were voting to kick them out. Only a few younger species abstained, and none voted against the measure. The motion passes. "Captain Morrison, you and your team will depart within 24 hours. Any human found on the planet's surface after that time will be detained." Jake wanted to argue more, but he knew it was useless. He gave a stiff nod and led Lisa and Ben out of the hall. Behind them, he could hear the aliens already discussing how to study the vault without human interference. Back on their ship, Jake slumped into his chair on the bridge. "That went exactly as badly as I thought it would." Lisa was pacing back and forth, her hands moving as she talked. "They're wrong, Jake. I've been going over the data from my scanner before it died. The energy signature from the vault is unlike anything in the known galactic database. It's not Vrathan technology. It's not Quillix, not Durney, not any of the elder races. It's something completely different." "But is it human?" Ben asked. He was sitting at his console, files spread across multiple screens. "I've been researching, looking at Earth's history. 73,000 years ago was right around the time of the Toba catastrophe, a supervolcano on Earth that nearly wiped out humanity. The genetic evidence suggests only a few thousand humans survived. We call it a population bottleneck." "I remember learning about that in school," Jake said. "So what? So what if it wasn't just a natural disaster? What if something else happened at the same time? What if humans were more advanced back then than we think? And we lost that advancement in the catastrophe?" Lisa stopped pacing. "That's a pretty big leap, Ben. Is it? Look at what we know. The vault recognizes human genetics specifically. It claims to have been built on Earth. It uses that symbol we found in ancient human caves. What if our ancestors really did build this thing? Then where's the evidence?" Jake asked. "Where are the cities, the factories, the spaceships? You can't build something like the vault without massive infrastructure. Where did it all go? Buried, destroyed, eroded away over 70,000 years. Jake, Earth's geography has changed completely since then. Ice ages came and went. Sea levels rose and fell. Entire continents shifted. If there was an ancient, advanced civilization, most of its traces would be gone by now." Lisa sat down slowly. "There are some anomalies in the archaeological record. Things that don't fit the standard timeline. The precision of ancient megalithic structures. The similarities between distant ancient cultures. Advanced astronomical knowledge in prehistoric times. Most archaeologists dismiss these as coincidence or misinterpretation, but what if they're not? Jake's communicator buzzed. It was a priority message from Earth. He opened it and read quickly, his eyes widening with each line. Earth's government has reviewed our situation. They're sending a proper diplomatic team and a military escort. They also want us to retrieve something before we leave the planet. Retrieve what? Ben asked. All the data we can get from the vault. They want everything. Scans, recordings, whatever it will give us in the next 24 hours. Lisa shook her head. The Coalition will never allow that. They have guards posted around Chamber 7. We can't get anywhere near the vault. We don't need to get near it through the front door. Jake pulled up a map of the dig site on the main screen. Look. Chamber 7 connects to a network of underground passages. The Vrathan mapped them but never fully explored them, because they didn't find anything interesting. What if we use those passages to approach the vault from beneath? That's crazy, Ben said. If we get caught, it'll just confirm their suspicions that we're up to something. We're already accused of tampering with the vault. We might as well get some actual information while we're at it. Besides, this might be our only chance to learn the truth. Once we're gone, the Coalition will seal this place off. We'll never get another opportunity. Lisa looked at Ben, then back at Jake. When do we go? In 6 hours. When the night shift is on duty and half the aliens are sleeping. The 6 hours crawled by slowly. Jake spent the time reviewing the maps and planning their route. Lisa prepared her backup scanner, hoping it would work better than the first one. Ben practiced his translation programs, making sure he could communicate with the vault if they managed to reach it. When the time came, they took a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. They landed far from the main dig site, in a rocky area that the mapping satellites showed was part of the underground passage network. Getting into the tunnels was harder than expected. They had to move rocks and clear debris, working as quietly as possible in their environmental suits. Finally, they broke through into a passage. It was dark and narrow, barely wide enough for them to walk single file. Jake led the way, using a handheld light to illuminate the path ahead. The walls were rough stone untouched by alien tools. This was one of the areas the Vrathan had marked as uninteresting and abandoned. They walked for over an hour following Jake's map. Several times they had to choose between multiple passages, and Jake made his best guess based on the direction they needed to go. Finally, the passage opened into a larger space. Jake's light revealed smooth walls and a high ceiling. They had reached the chamber network beneath the dig site. Which way? Lisa asked. Jake checked his map. Should be straight ahead, then left at the second junction. That'll put us directly beneath Chamber 7. They moved quickly now, knowing their time was limited. The guards above would change shifts in a few hours, and their absence from the ship would eventually be noticed. They had a narrow window to work with. The passage ended at a vertical shaft. Looking up, Jake could see light filtering down from above. This is it. Chamber 7 is right up there. How do we get up? Ben asked. The shaft was at least 30 meters tall with smooth walls. Lisa was already pulling climbing equipment from her pack. Always prepared. Let's go. The climb was exhausting. Jake's arms burned by the time he reached the top, pulling himself up onto the floor of Chamber 7. Lisa and Ben followed, both breathing hard. The vault stood before them, still glowing softly in the darkness. The guards were outside the chamber, not expecting anyone to come from below. Jake approached the structure carefully. Hello? He said quietly. We're back. Can you hear us? The vault's glow intensified slightly. Welcome, Makers. This unit is pleased to see you again. How may this unit serve? We need information, Lisa said. She held up her scanner.
Can you tell us about your creators?
About the humans who built you? Accessing historical files. Warning. Many files corrupted or incomplete due to extended dormancy. Retrieving available data. The surface of the vault rippled like water and images began to form. Jake gasped. He was seeing Earth, but not the Earth he knew. This Earth had cities. Tall structures of crystal and metal covered the landscape. Ships that looked like the vault moved through the sky, and walking among it all were humans. They looked almost like modern humans, but not quite. Taller, perhaps. Different proportions, but undeniably human. The standoff lasted for 3 hours. Jake, Lisa, and Ben remained inside the vault's protective barrier. while Vrathan guards surrounded them. More aliens arrived as word spread. The chamber was soon filled with representatives from dozens of species, all wanting to see what was happening. High Curator Zenth had tried everything to break through the barrier. Energy weapons bounced off it. Cutting tools couldn't touch it. Even when they tried to shut down power to the entire chamber, the vault continued operating on some internal source that nobody could locate or disable. Finally, Zenth gave up on force and tried negotiation. Captain Morrison, be reasonable. You cannot stay in there forever. Eventually you will need food, water, and rest. Come out peacefully and we can discuss this situation like civilized beings. Jake looked at Lisa and Ben. They were tired, scared, and completely unsure of what to do next. The smart move would be to surrender and hope Earth's government could protect them. But something made Jake hesitate. The vault had protected them for a reason. It knew something they didn't. Can you show us more? Jake asked the vault quietly. What happened to the Archeans? Where did they go? The vault's surface rippled again. New images formed, clearer this time. Jake saw the Earth during the catastrophe. The sky was dark with ash. The ground shook with earthquakes. Cities crumbled. The beautiful crystal towers fell. Ships crashed. And the people ran, seeking shelter in caves and underground spaces. But there was more. The images showed something else happening at the same time. A wave of energy, visible as a distortion in space itself passing through the solar system. When it touched technology, that technology stopped working. Ships fell from the sky. Power systems failed. Even simple electronics sparked and died. The wave didn't destroy organic life, but it destroyed almost everything the Archeans had built. The silence, the vault explained. Energy wave of unknown origin, repeating on a cycle of approximately 75,000 Earth years. Previous waves documented in geological record. The Archeans were not the first human civilization. Evidence suggests at least 3 previous cycles. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. 3 previous cycles? You're saying humans-built civilizations got destroyed by this wave and rose again at least 3 times before the Archeans? Correct. Pattern repeats. Each time, survivors preserve genetic potential but lose technological knowledge. Each time, humanity rises again. Each time the wave returns. Ben had gone pale. When is the next wave coming? Current calculations predict arrival in approximately 140 years. Margin of error plus or minus 20 years. Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. Did you hear that? The wave is coming back. In our lifetime or our children's lifetime. We need to prepare. We need to warn people. If anyone believes us, Jake said grimly. He raised his voice so the aliens outside could hear. High Curator Zenth, are you listening to this? I hear it, Zenth replied. I hear a machine making fantastic claims. This proves nothing. It proves we're all in danger. The wave that destroyed the Archeans is coming back. And if it destroyed a civilization that was far more advanced than we are now, what chance do we have? A new voice spoke up from the crowd. It was a Durnai named Velth, an older scholar who Jake had met briefly. Wait, let me understand this correctly. The vault claims this energy wave repeats every 75,000 years? Approximately, the vault confirmed. And it destroys technology but not organic life? Correct. The wave disrupts organized electromagnetic fields and quantum states. Living organisms are affected minimally. Artificial systems suffer catastrophic failure. Velth's tank moved closer to the barrier. This is interesting. Very interesting. In Durnai ancient texts, there are stories of the Night of Silence, a time when the stars stopped singing and the metal stopped working. We always thought it was mythology, a story to explain why our ancestors were primitive. But the timing fits. Approximately 75,000 years ago, another voice joined in. A Quilix researcher stepped forward. The Quilix have similar stories. The day the machines died. It is in our oldest religious texts. We never considered it might be literal truth. More aliens began talking among themselves. Fragments of their own ancient legends and myths came forward. Stories that had been dismissed as primitive superstition were suddenly being seen in a new light. Zenth's crystalline body flashed through several colors. Jake could see the curator struggling with this new information. Everything Zenth believed, everything the Vrathan based their identity on was being challenged. Even if these stories are true, Zenth said carefully, it does not prove that humans are the makers. It only proves that a catastrophe happened in the past. The vault recognizes human genetics, Lisa argued. It responds to our language patterns. It protects us. Why would it do that if we weren't connected to its creators? Perhaps the Archeans were not human. Perhaps they simply used human genetic material in their construction. Perhaps they were an alien race that experimented on primitive Earth humans and left this behind. The vault spoke again, and this time there was something almost like irritation in its mechanical voice. Incorrect. Archean genetic sequences match modern human sequences at 99.7%. Deviation is within normal evolutionary range for 73,000-year time span. The Archeans were human. The humans are Archean. Jake made a decision. He knew it was risky, but they needed more proof. Something undeniable. Vault, you said you have data files. Can you show us more about the Archeans? Their daily life, their culture, their appearance? Accessing. Please wait. The barrier around them faded slightly, and the images on the vault's surface grew larger, projecting into the air of the chamber. Everyone could see them now. The visions were no longer just pictures. They had sound. They showed Archean people walking through their cities, talking in a language that sounded strange but somehow familiar. Children playing, markets full of goods, scientists working in laboratories that looked both alien and oddly similar to modern human facilities. Ben was listening carefully to the language. His eyes went wide. That's those root sounds. I recognize them. That language is a precursor to Proto-Indo-European, and I'm hearing elements of Proto-Afro-Asiatic too. It's like listening to the grandmother of all human languages. The images continued. They showed the Archeans preparing for the wave. Not with panic, but with purpose. They knew what was coming. They had found evidence of previous civilizations, previous cycles. They had chosen to try something different this time. Instead of fighting the inevitable and losing everything, they would preserve what mattered most and trust their descendants to continue the journey. The images showed the construction of the vaults. Hundreds of them spread across the galaxy, each one filled with knowledge, with tools, with guidance for those who would come after. And then the images showed the voluntary devolution, the Archeans gathering in facilities where their own technology would change them, simplify them, make them better suited to survive the coming catastrophe. It was not a gentle process. Many died, but enough survived, and those survivors carried the genetic markers forward, through 70,000 years of human history, until their descendants finally returned to the stars and found the vaults waiting. When the images ended, the chamber was silent. Every alien present had seen the same thing. The evidence was compelling. Maybe not absolute proof, but far more than anyone could easily dismiss. Velth spoke first. This changes our understanding of galactic history. If humans are truly this ancient, if they predate even the Vrathan, then we must reconsider everything we thought we knew about the development of civilization. No. Xanth's voice was hard. We must reconsider nothing. These images could be fabricated. The vault could be programmed to show whatever will convince us. I do not accept this. You don't have to accept it, Jake said. He felt a strange calm settling over him. The vault said there are 237 other units out there. Send ships to those coordinates. See if they respond the same way. Test it. Prove us wrong if you can. Oh, I will, Xanth promised. And when I prove this is a deception, there will be consequences. The curator turned and left the chamber, followed by most of the Vrathan delegation. But not all the aliens left. Many stayed, looking at the vault with new curiosity instead of hostility. The Quillix researcher approached the barrier carefully. Captain Morrison, my name is Crix. I study ancient history. I would like to learn more about this. If the vault will permit, I would like to ask it questions. You'll have to ask the vault, Jake said. Crix turned to the structure. Vault, will you answer my questions? Non-maker inquiry detected. Processing request. Decision. Limited information may be shared with allied species. What is your question? Over the next hour, Crix and several other researchers asked questions. The vault answered some and refused to answer others. It was clear that it had protocols about what information could be shared with non-humans. But what it did share was remarkable. Details about Archean technology, about their understanding of physics, about their exploration of the galaxy. Lisa had her scanner working again, recording everything. Ben was taking notes frantically, trying to capture every word. Jake watched it all happen. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within days of the data transfer, every major civilization knew what had happened on Kepler 442b. The reactions were predictable and chaotic. Some species embraced the revelation, others rejected it completely. Most fell somewhere in between, uncertain and afraid of what it meant. Jake recovered slowly from the knowledge transfer. He spent 3 days in the medical bay with severe headaches and occasional moments where his thoughts seemed to slip into patterns that felt alien yet familiar. Lisa and Ben were going through the same thing. The Archean knowledge was integrating with their modern human minds, but the process was not smooth. On the 4th day, Jake was cleared to return to duty. He found his ship surrounded by vessels from a dozen different species. Some were there to offer support. Others were there to make demands or threats. The situation was spiraling out of control. "Captain, we have another transmission from the Galactic Coalition," his communications officer reported. "They're demanding you attend a special session of the Grand Assembly. Immediately." Jake sighed. He had been expecting this. "Tell them we'll be there within 2 days. We need time to prepare our presentation." "They say immediately, sir. And I say 2 days. We're not going in there unprepared. Tell them that politely." While they prepared, disturbing reports came in from across the galaxy. Several radical groups, both human and alien, had started racing toward the coordinates of other vaults. Some wanted to secure them for their own species. Others wanted to destroy them before anyone could access them. The Vrathan had sent military ships to blockade at least 20 vault locations, claiming they were protecting the sites until proper authority could be established. Earth's government contacted Jake directly. The president herself appeared on the secure channel looking tired and worried. "Captain Morrison, the situation here is tense. We have protests in every major city. Some people think you've discovered proof that humanity is superior to all other species. Others think you've brought disaster upon us by angering the elder races. Most people are just scared and confused. What can you tell me?" Jake chose his words carefully. "Madam President, I can tell you that the vault is telling the truth. I have Archean knowledge in my head now. I can understand technology that shouldn't be possible. I can see equations that our current physics can't explain. The Archeans were real, they were human, and they built a civilization across hundreds of worlds. But they're gone now. They failed. They didn't fail. They survived. We're here, aren't we? They found a way to preserve the most important thing, their genetic legacy. Their descendants, us. And they left us tools to succeed where they couldn't." The president was quiet for a moment. "What do you need from us?" "Support at the Grand Assembly. We need to convince the coalition to work together, not fight over the vaults. We need access to all the vaults so we can gather the complete knowledge. And we need to start preparing for the wave. We have 140 years. That sounds like a lot, but to build what we need on a galactic scale, it's barely enough time. I'll do what I can. But Jake, be careful. You're carrying the weight of humanity's reputation right now. Don't let us down." "I'll do my best, ma'am." The journey to the Grand Assembly took 2 days through several jump gates. The assembly was held on a massive station called Unity Point, positioned in neutral space between several major civilizations. The station could hold over 1 million beings and was designed to accommodate the wildly different biology of hundreds of species. When Jake, Lisa, and Ben arrived, they were met by an armed escort. Not hostile, but not exactly friendly either. They were taken to a secure area to wait for their turn to address the assembly. The waiting area was crowded with other delegates, many of whom stared at the humans with open hostility. "Feels like we're about to be judged," Ben muttered. "We are," Lisa said. She was reviewing her notes on a data pad, trying to prepare for every possible question they might face. "The whole galaxy is watching. We need to get this right." Finally, they were called in. The assembly chamber was enormous, a spherical space with seating arranged in concentric rings around a central platform. Thousands of alien delegates filled the seats. The noise of their conversations died down as Jake and his team entered. High Curator Zenth was already at the central platform, along with several other high-ranking officials from various species. Jake noticed that Crix was there too, representing the Quilix scientific community. "Captain Morrison," Zenth began formally, "you stand before the Grand Assembly to answer for your actions and your claims. You assert that humans are the ancient makers, the legendary architects that many species have sought for millennia. You claim that an energy wave threatens all civilization. These are extraordinary claims. Provide your evidence. Jake had practiced this moment in his head 100 times. He stepped forward, and to his surprise, his voice was steady and clear. High Curator, honored delegates, I will provide evidence, but first, I want to address what this really means. The vault on Kepler 442b recognizes humans as descendants of its creators. This is fact. We did not program it. We did not hack it. We were as surprised as everyone else when it responded to us. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Jake continued, but this doesn't make humans superior. If anything, it proves the opposite. Our ancestors reached incredible heights and they still fell. They still nearly went extinct. The Archeans learned an important lesson that they tried to pass down to us. No single species, no matter how advanced, can survive alone. He gestured to Lisa, who activated a holographic display. Images from the vault appeared in the center of the chamber, visible to all delegates. These are records from the vault. They show the Archean civilization. They show the catastrophe that destroyed it, and they show the cycle that has repeated at least 4 times in human history. 4 times we rose, 4 times we fell, each time because we weren't prepared for the wave. The images showed the energy wave, the destruction, the survival. They showed the Archeans making their choice to devolve rather than go extinct. Some delegates leaned forward, fascinated. Others looked skeptical. A Durnay delegate stood up. I am Scholar Velth. I have reviewed the ancient texts of my people. There are indeed references to a great silence in our past. The timing matches what the vault describes, but this could be coincidence. One species having legends is coincidence, Jake agreed. But we've found that dozens of species have similar stories, all describing technological failure around the same time period, all describing it as a sudden, catastrophic event. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Zenth's crystalline body flashed red, or it's proof that someone spread these stories deliberately to support this deception. The Archeans, if they existed, could have seeded these legends to prepare for exactly this moment. To what purpose? Crick spoke up. The Quillix researcher moved to the center platform. High Curator, I have spent the last week analyzing the data from the vault. The physics it describes are consistent with theories we have been developing but could not prove. The mathematics work. The energy patterns match natural phenomena we've observed but couldn't explain. If this is a deception, it is one based on accurate science. Science that humans could have learned and used to create a convincing lie, Zenth countered. Jake felt frustration rising. Then test it. The vault gave us coordinates to 237 other units. Send ships to those locations. Try to access them with your own people. See if they respond. If they don't respond to non-humans the same way they respond to humans, that's your proof. Several species have already done this, a new voice said. It was a tall, elegant being from a species Jake didn't recognize. I represent the Karath Collective. We sent ships to 3 of the coordinates. We found vaults. They did not respond to us. But when we brought human volunteers, the vaults activated. The same message every time, welcome back, makers. This caused an uproar in the chamber. Delegates were shouting questions, accusations, demands. The speaker had to call for order repeatedly before the noise died down. Zenth looked shaken but not convinced. This only proves the vaults are programmed to respond to human genetics. It does not prove humans built them originally. Perhaps another species built them and keyed them to human genetics as an experiment or a test. Then why? Lisa asked. She stepped forward, her voice carrying across the chamber. Why would another species build hundreds of vaults across the galaxy, fill them with advanced knowledge, key them to human genetics, and then disappear without taking credit? What possible benefit would that serve? The simpler explanation is the true one. Humans built them because they were human technology. Furthermore, Ben added, the language the vaults use contains root elements from ancient human languages. The symbols they display are found in prehistoric human sites on Earth. The genetic markers they recognize are specifically human. If another species built them, they would need to have an incredibly detailed knowledge of human biology, language, and culture dating back 70,000 years. When would they have acquired this knowledge? Humans didn't leave Earth until 15 years ago. The arguments continued for hours. Jake presented more evidence. The knowledge that had been transferred to his brain, which he could now. 20 years had passed since the Grand Assembly vote. Jake Morrison stood in what used to be Chamber 7 on Kepler 442b, but the place had changed beyond recognition. The Genesis Vault, once a mysterious relic in a dark underground room, was now the heart of a thriving research facility. Scientists from dozens of species worked here around the clock, analyzing data and developing technologies that would have seemed impossible 2 decades ago. Jake had changed too. He was older now, with gray hair at his temples and lines around his eyes, but he felt younger in spirit than he had back then. The weight of discovery had been heavy. The weight of progress felt lighter, easier to carry with so many others helping. "Captain Morrison, we have the updated projections," Lisa Warren said, walking up to him. She had changed too. She was now Dr. Warren, head of the Archean Research Division, one of the most important scientific positions in the Coalition. She handed him a data pad. "The network synchronization is ahead of schedule." Jake reviewed the numbers. Of the 237 vaults, they had successfully activated and networked 193. Each activation had brought new knowledge, new technology, new understanding. The remaining 44 vaults were either damaged beyond repair or located in regions too dangerous to reach yet. 193, Jake said, smiling. "The Archeans would be proud." "They would be," Lisa agreed. "We've surpassed their achievements in some areas. The wave deflection theory we developed uses their knowledge as a foundation, but we've improved on it. Working together, all these species contributing their expertise, we've created something the Archeans never had time to build." They walked through the facility together. Every corridor showed evidence of cooperation that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago. Wraithen engineers worked alongside human technicians. Quilix scientists debated theories with Durnay researchers. Young people from dozens of species trained together, learning to use Archean technology and develop new applications. Not everyone had been happy with the changes. There had been resistance, protests, even violence. Some humans had formed supremacist groups claiming the vaults proved they should rule the galaxy. Some alien factions had argued that the vaults should be destroyed or kept sealed. But slowly, steadily, the moderates had won. The discovery of the vaults had ultimately brought the galaxy together, rather than tearing it apart. Ben Carter met them in the Central Command Center. He was in charge of the Linguistic and Cultural Division now, helping bridge the gaps between species as they worked together. "Jake, Lisa, the Korath delegation is here. They want an update on the wave detection grid." "I'll handle it," Jake said. He had become something like an ambassador over the years. Someone who could talk to both humans and aliens, someone who understood both the Archean legacy and the current political reality. The Korath delegation consisted of 3 tall, elegant beings who had been among the first to support the Vault activation program. Their leader, Ambassador Sin, greeted Jake warmly. "Captain Morrison, or should I say Coordinator Morrison now?" Jake smiled. "Jake is fine. We're all friends here." "Indeed. We want to know about the detection grid. Our scientists tell us it should be operational soon." "Within 6 months," Jake confirmed. He pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy with thousands of points of light, marking sensor stations. "We've built detection stations in strategic positions across Coalition space. When the wave arrives, we'll have at least 5 years warning, enough time to implement the deflection protocol." "And the deflection will work?" Sin asked, worry evident in the alien's voice. "According to our models, yes. We've run millions of simulations. The Archean research was incomplete, but they were on the right track. By using a network of quantum field generators positioned along the wave's predicted path, we can bend it around inhabited space. It won't stop the wave, but it will redirect it through areas with no life, no technology, nothing to damage. Millions of simulations are not the same as reality." "No," Jake admitted, "but it's the best we have. The alternative is to do nothing and let the wave hit us like it hit every previous civilization. At least this way we have a chance." Sin was quiet for a moment. "My species has existed for 60,000 years. We have built much in that time. The thought of losing it all to an energy wave we cannot control is terrifying." "I understand, but you won't lose it. That's the point of all this work. We're breaking the cycle. For the first time in hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions, a technological civilization is going to survive the wave. Because of the Archeans. Because they left you the knowledge." "Because of everyone," Jake corrected. "The Archeans left knowledge, yes. But humans alone couldn't have done anything with it. We needed Vrathan crystalline technology to build the field generators. We needed Quilix manufacturing to produce them in quantity. We needed Durnai understanding of energy dynamics to refine the designs. We needed your species' expertise in quantum mechanics. Every species contributed something essential. The Archeans gave us a head start, but we're running this race together. Sin seemed satisfied with that answer. There is wisdom in your words. Perhaps that is the real legacy of the Archeans. Not the technology itself, but the lesson that cooperation is the only path to survival. After the Korath left, Jake returned to the vault chamber. The structure still glowed softly, still responded when humans approached. But it was quieter now, its urgency diminished. It had accomplished its primary function. The makers had returned and found the knowledge. Now it was simply a repository, a library, a reminder of what had been and what could be again. Vault, Jake said quietly. Are you still aware? Can you hear me? This unit remains functional. How may this unit serve, Maker?
I just wanted to say thank you.
You waited a long time. You protected the knowledge even when there was no one to use it. The Archeans built you well. This unit was built to serve. Service brings purpose. Purpose brings fulfillment. This unit is fulfilled. Jake smiled at the machine's simple logic. The wave is coming in 120 years. We think we can redirect it. We think we can survive. Would that make the Archeans happy? The Archeans were human. Humans desire survival above all else. Survival brings happiness. Yes, the Archeans would be happy. But they would also be proud. You have exceeded their achievements. You have united species where they worked alone. You represent the best hope of breaking the cycle permanently. We're trying. We're really trying. Trying is sufficient. Perfection is not required. Only effort and cooperation. You demonstrate both. Jake sat down on the floor next to the vault, something he had done many times over the years when he needed to think. Do you ever wonder what they were like? The Archeans, not their technology or their knowledge, but them as people. This unit has records. Would you like to review them? I've seen the records, but records don't show everything. They were people, facing an impossible situation, making hard choices. Some of them must have been scared. Some must have been angry at the universe for putting them in that position, but they chose to hope anyway. They chose to believe their descendants would be strong enough, smart enough to finish what they started. The Archeans believed in human potential. Events have proven them correct. Sometimes I feel like we're not living up to it. There's still so much prejudice, so much conflict. Humans arguing with aliens. Aliens arguing with each other. Political fights over resources and credit. Conflict is natural. Perfection is not. The Archeans also had conflicts. Records show disagreements about the devolution protocol. Some wanted to fight the wave. Others wanted to flee beyond its reach. The choice to devolve was not unanimous, but they chose anyway and accepted the consequences. Jake nodded slowly. I guess that's all we can do. Make our best choice and accept the consequences. Correct. And your choice has been to cooperate, to build instead of destroy, to hope instead of despair. These are good choices. Later that evening, Jake met with Lisa and Ben in the facility's observation lounge. Through the transparent walls, they could see the purple landscape of Kepler 442b and the stars beyond. I got a message from Earth, Ben said. They're building a memorial for the Archeans, a place to remember what they achieved and what they sacrificed. That's good, Lisa said. They deserve to be remembered. Not worshipped, but remembered. They were people who did extraordinary things because they had no other choice. Like us, Jake said. We're doing extraordinary things because we have no other choice. The wave is coming whether we're ready or not. Are we ready? Ben asked. It was the question everyone had been asking for 20 years. We're more ready than any previous civilization was, Lisa replied. We have the knowledge. We have the technology. We have the cooperation of hundreds of species. If that's not enough, then nothing would be. Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the wave was moving through space at unimaginable speed. It had been traveling for thousands of years and would travel for more than a century more before it reached them, an unstoppable force of nature, caring nothing for the civilizations in its path. But this time, those civilizations were ready. This time, they knew it was coming. This time, they had a plan. The dust on Kepler 442b had a strange purple color that stuck to everything. Jake Morrison wiped his visor for the third time that hour and squinted at the dig site ahead. The planet was cold, windy, and far from Earth. He had been traveling for 6 months just to get here, and now he wondered if it was worth it. Captain, We're approaching the main excavation zone, Lisa Warren said through the comlink. She was walking beside him in her own environmental suit, carrying scanning equipment that looked too heavy for her small frame. But Lisa was tougher than she looked. She had to be, working as a xenoarchaeologist in a galaxy that barely took humans seriously. Behind them, Ben Carter struggled with his own gear. He was their linguistics expert, a tall man who always seemed uncomfortable in spacesuits. How much further? This equipment is killing my back. Another 10 minutes, Jake replied. He checked his wrist display. The alien teams had been here for 3 standard years. 3 years of digging, scanning, and searching for something that might not even exist. And now, just as they were about to give up, the humans finally got invited to join. It felt like being asked to a party right when everyone was leaving. The excavation site came into view. It was massive. Dozens of structures dotted the landscape, each one a temporary building for research and housing. Ships from various alien species sat parked in designated zones. Jake could identify most of them now. The tall spires belonged to the Vrathan, an ancient race that looked like walking crystals covered in flowing robes. The dome structures were Quilix territory, built to accommodate their insect-like bodies. The water-filled spheres housed the Dernier, aquatic beings who needed to stay submerged. A Vrathan approached them. It was High Curator Zenth, the leader of this entire operation. The alien's crystalline body reflected the purple dust, creating strange patterns of light. When Zenth spoke, a translator device converted the sounds into English. Captain Morrison, you arrive at an unfortunate time. We are concluding our operations here. Jake felt his stomach sink. Concluding? We just got here. The Genesis vault is not here. We have searched every possible location. Our instruments have scanned beneath the surface for kilometers in all directions. The legends were wrong, or the vault was destroyed long ago. Zenth's voice held no emotion, but Jake sensed disappointment anyway. Can we at least look around while we're here? We came a long way. Zenth made a gesture that might have been a shrug, if you wish. But do not expect miracles. Better species than yours have found nothing. Lisa stepped forward before Jake could respond to the insult. We'd like to see the main chamber. The one mentioned in the Vrathan historical text. Chamber 7, follow the markers. We have already packed our equipment from that location. Zenth turned and walked away, dismissing them. Ben muttered something under his breath that the translator mercifully didn't pick up. Jake put a hand on his shoulder. Let it go. We're the new kids here. We have to prove ourselves. They followed the illuminated markers through the dig site. Other alien researchers stopped to watch them pass. Some looked curious. Others looked hostile. Humans had only joined the Galactic Coalition 15 years ago, and many of the elder races still saw them as primitive newcomers who got lucky with their technology. Chamber 7 was a disappointment at first glance. It was just an empty underground room carved from the purple stone of the planet. The walls were smooth but showed no decorations or markings. Equipment crates sat stacked in one corner waiting to be loaded onto ships. Dust covered everything. This is it? Ben asked. They spent 3 years searching and this is what they found? Lisa was already moving around the chamber, running her scanner over the walls. There's something here. The energy readings are strange. Strange how? Jake watched her work. Lisa had good instincts. She had found things on Earth that other archaeologists had missed. That was why he had specifically requested her for this mission. It's like an echo, not current energy, but a signature of something that was here, or maybe still is here, but we can't see it. She adjusted her scanner settings. The Vrathan use crystal-based technology. Their scanners work on light refraction and quantum resonance. They're good for finding their own technology, but maybe not for finding something completely different. What are you thinking? Jake moved closer. Human technology evolved differently. We started with radio waves, then moved to digital, then quantum computing. Our scanners look for electromagnetic signatures first. If something here operates on a different principle, the Vrathan might have missed it because they weren't looking for it in the right way. Ben joined them at the wall. The legends about the Genesis Vault say it was created by the architects, but nobody knows who the architects really were. Every elder race has stories about them, but no physical evidence. What if the vault doesn't want to be found by just anyone? That's crazy, Jake said, but he felt a chill run down his spine despite the suit's temperature controls. You're suggesting it's selective? I'm suggesting we try something different. Lisa scanned for human range frequencies, the kind of signals our old radio telescopes used to search for. Basic stuff. Lisa looked doubtful but adjusted her scanner. She moved it slowly across the wall, starting from the left side of the chamber. Nothing happened. She continued across, reaching the center of the room. Still nothing. Then she stepped toward the far wall, the one that the Vrathan had marked as solid bedrock with nothing behind it. The scanner started beeping. Softly at first, then louder. The reading spiked into ranges that should not be possible. "That's not possible," Lisa whispered. She checked the scanner twice, thinking it was malfunctioning. "I'm reading a power source. A massive one. Right behind this wall." But the Vrathan scanned this area hundreds of times. Jake activated his comm unit. "This is Morrison to base camp. We have something in Chamber 7. Please send..." He did not get to finish. The wall in front of them started glowing. It began as a soft blue light, barely visible. Then it grew brighter, spreading across the surface like water flowing over stone. The temperature in the chamber dropped suddenly, and frost formed on their visors. "Back up," Jake ordered, pulling Lisa away from the wall. Ben was already retreating toward the entrance. The glow intensified until they had to look away. Then, with no sound at all, the wall vanished. Not crumbled or broke apart, but simply disappeared as if it had never existed. In its place stood something that should not fit in the space available. A structure of crystalline material stretched before them, rising at least 50 meters high, even though the chamber ceiling was only 10 meters up. It seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human eye could properly process. Looking at it made Jake's head hurt. The surface flowed with colors that had no names, and patterns shifted across it like living things. "What is that?" Ben's voice was shaking. Before anyone could answer, alarms started going off throughout the dig site. The massive energy surge had been detected by every scanner on the planet. Jake's comm unit exploded with chatter as alien teams demanded to know what the humans had done. The structure pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Each pulse sent waves of energy through the chamber that made their suits' instruments go haywire. Lisa's scanner sparked and died. Jake's wrist display flickered and reset. Then the structure spoke. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. It bypassed their translators and seemed to speak directly into their minds. The words were clear despite being impossible. Scanning. Analyzing genetic markers. Comparing to master database. Match found. Probability 99.7%. Makers detected. Identity confirmed. Jake felt his legs go weak. Makers? What makers? Beginning recognition protocol. Accessing primary files. Welcome back, makers. This unit has been dormant for 73,412 standard cycles. It is gratifying to finally fulfill primary function. How may this unit serve? The chamber door burst open. High Curator Zenth rushed in, followed by a dozen other Vrathan and several Qualix researchers. They stopped dead when they saw the structure. Zenth's crystalline body flashed through several colors that Jake had learned meant shock and confusion. "What is this? What have you done?" Zenth demanded. "We didn't do anything," Jake said. "We were just scanning and it appeared. Impossible. We scanned this chamber 1,000 times. The structure pulsed again. Unauthorized life forms detected. Genetic patterns do not match maker profiles. Access denied to non-maker species. Please stand clear." Zenth moved forward anyway, reaching toward the crystalline surface. The air between the curator and the structure shimmered. An invisible barrier stopped Zenth's hand several inches from the surface. The alien tried again with more force but could not get any closer. "Let me through," Zenth commanded. "Access denied," the structure repeated calmly. "Only makers may approach. Security protocols remain in effect." Lisa looked at Jake with wide eyes. "It called us makers, us humans. That's impossible, right? We've only been in space for a few decades. We're the youngest species in the coalition." "I know," Jake said quietly. His mind was racing. Nothing about this made sense. Humans were newcomers. They had barely developed radio when some of these alien species were already crossing the galaxy. How could